Really do appreciate you joining us today here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Chaz Price. Scott Kirshner is off this week. My name is Chris Vaughn. 419-794-3030. That's the phone number. 419-794-3030. Online, arhq.com. Don't forget, if you missed previous editions of the show or you want to catch up, you have questions about particular subjects, every episode of America's Retirement Headquarters is available via podcast. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and search there. All those previous episodes there for you to check out whenever you're ready. Taxes, of course, going to be a major factor in everyone's retirement. What crazy thing would Americans do to have a tax-free future? There was a new survey by Wallet Hub that asked that question and found out 1 in 10 would actually clean prison toilets for 3 years in exchange for never paying taxes again. Well, we all know that taxes aren't going to go away, and it's just a matter of controlling how much we have to give to Uncle Sam. So isn't that the importance in that where you guys in tax planning come into play?
Well, I'd say I find those results kind of interesting from that survey. So I don't know if it was just multiple choice on picking what option that you wanted to not pay taxes. But the honorable learned hand, you really said there's two systems of taxation: one for the informed and one for the uninformed. And I think how to pay less in taxes in retirement is such a huge topic. Again, I go back to the recent university class, and I think, again, something else, Chaz, that you said that jumped out to me is, what a shame it would be to teach you how to be a better educated investor, to make smarter financial decisions, but to not look at it from a tax perspective. And then, when tax rates go up to, potentially double the amount that you pay in taxes and give all those gains back just by not thinking about it. So one of the things that we can do for you is we have a tax savers checklist. This checklist, it goes through 25 different items that we take a look at. And in fact, there's 7 strategies that I could talk for hours and hours on this topic. So this is something that, we work hand in hand with your CPA or accountant, or if you don't have one, you do it yourself. We can talk about bringing a CPA or accountant in because we're looking at it from the planning perspective. When we look at it, we look at Roth conversions. We look at tax-efficient withdrawals. We look at managing your Social Security taxation and benefits, using tax-efficient investments, taking advantage of tax deductions and credits, considering the geographic location of where you live, and then ultimately from an estate planning. Again, these topics, each one of these we can dive deep into in your particular situation, but because of the fact that our show is somewhat limited, let me give you just one great tidbit of advice and tip and a strategy. Number one, I talked about Roth conversions. So as you mentioned, we're on Spotify, YouTube, we've got all of our shows. And if you go back 6 months ago, what I was talking about is the end of the year tax planning and how important it was to look at strategic Roth conversions while the market was significantly lower. And as we know now, the market has come back. It doesn't say what the future of the market's going to do in the next couple of months. But, again, converting money over to a Roth IRA while the market is not back at its all-time high is allowing an investor to identify part of their portfolio that they can shift over from the tax-deferred to the tax-free category. And then if and when that investment comes back up in price, they can have tax-free growth if they follow what the rules are for a Roth IRA, for example, till age 59 and a half, or from 5 years for the date of first contribution. And then within a strategic perspective. So I met with this gentleman the other day. I showed him this exact concept, and he had about $60,000 that he could convert staying in the 22% tax bracket. But when he saw the power of being able to take control of his financial situation, his follow-up question to me was, well, I might be okay going into the 24% tax bracket.
Do it all.
Yeah, I might as well just know what my tax rate and tax bill is and just take care of it and shift that money over. And we looked at, potentially moving more into that category. So that'd be, just one of the 7 strategies. It's part of our 25-item tax savers checklist. So if you haven't got a 2020 roadmap, 2023 conversion analysis, I'd love to do that. If you had one tip, for this segment, Chaz, what would that be?
It would also be the Roth conversions. I mean, and I would be willing to do a lot more than just clean toilets for tax-free. I'm telling you, I mean, there's the biggest expense that retirees are going to pay in retirement is taxes. We're looking at even probably more than insurance and medical, because you pay tax in chunks. And that's unfortunately what a lot of people don't know. It's too late. And we're talking advisors too. Like you said, Nolan, earlier, what a shame it would be for us over 5 years to help generate an additional 10% in earnings over and above what the market did, and then to have you, unfortunately, pay them all back in taxes, because through a bad tax year, we might bump you from the 24 bracket up to the 32. And so that's what a lot of people don't know, is that those are, the tax brackets don't increase incrementally. They have these big step ups at different parts of the bracket. And so you want to make sure that you avoid those. And the Roth conversion can do that. And the other thing is that, we know for the most part, taxes are going to go up. I mean, it's almost a given. When you look at the national debt, almost over $32 trillion right now and counting. You look at the Social Security and Medicare gap and funding, and where those trust funds, that amorphous account outside somewhere that was supposed to be for us, no longer isn't. When you look at the fact that our deficit every year continues to exceed $1 trillion, and then you've got some of the most smartest individuals in finance saying that regardless of what the politicians tell you, any additional accumulation of debt is basically a tax deferred increase. Not even talking about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expiring in 2025, which you could argue, is it a tax increase or isn't it? Because I'm just letting them expire. I didn't raise anything. I didn't do anything. They've got that option to kind of slide it by, and we're not talking about 87% tax rate, are we? I mean, could tax rates go that high? Well, actually, they were. In 1960 to 1963, the highest tax bracket was close to 87%, which is why Ronald Reagan, from what I read, didn't do more than 2 movies back in the early 60s, is because on the third movie, he's getting taxed 90%. And so the point is, we've been in this movie before. We've seen how high tax rates can go. Everything is pointing towards needing to increase taxes to either pay off our debt, refund Social Security. There's a lot of evidence to prove that right now is an opportunity to pay tax at some of the lowest interest rates. For many, the Roth conversion is really the only way to do it. If you're a higher wage earner, you're phased out from contributing to taxes. And if you're like most Americans, we've all made that deal with the devil. I joke around. We've put money into these tax-deferred investments. We've kicked the can down the line, but at some point, there is a day of reckoning, and it's coming soon. And so, do we want to be in a forever tax situation where our IRAs are taxed for the rest of our life, or do we want to be in a never tax situation where we get it out of the way? Yes, the government can mess around, and you could say, well, what if they make the Roth taxable? Highly unlikely. I don't think they would tax us twice, but you never know. But yeah, they can trim around the fringes a little bit, maybe make some of the earnings or some of the growth from the Roth taxable for other purposes like Social Security. But I think the key for our listeners is the time is now to pay or to consider paying a lot of tax and getting it out of the way.
And like I said, I mean, that's just one of the 7 strategies that we can dive deeper into. It's part of our 25-item checklist. It's called the Tax Savers Checklist. So, if you want to find out, are there things that maybe are opportunities that you're not aware of on how to pay less taxes in retirement, give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down and create your 2023 tax roadmap, take you through these 7 strategies and also our 25 items on that Tax Savers Checklist.
All you have to do is schedule the time to speak with them. Call 419-794-3030. Guys, I was watching cartoons with my son the other day. He's 7, and like his old man, one of his favorite cartoons is the Roadrunner. And whenever the train's coming down the tracks, Wile E. Coyote just holds up that umbrella, and that doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. There is a train coming down the tracks in the form of higher taxation in the future, whatever that rate may be. Are you going to hold up an umbrella and just feel the brunt of it when it does come, or are you going to find a way to step off the track, that's something the Coyote never did? I think you know the right answer. Take advantage of this. Have that Tax Savers Checklist done for you and develop a tax strategy with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, 419-794-3030. Or you can always go to the website, arhq.com.